Alright and guys, today we're making a classic British bloomer loaf. Soft on the inside, crisp on the outside, and perfect for sandwiches or toast. It's a simple dough with a beautiful shape, and I'll show you exactly how to get that signature look. And for this we need some strong white bread flour, instant dried yeast, salt, lukewarm water and olive oil, and I'm introducing a new ingredient, bread improver. You can leave this out if you haven't got any. It does help though. As usual, ingredients along the way and full recipe at the end after the taste test. So we're going to start off with 500 grams of bread flour, strong bread flour. This one is Churchill White from Matthew's Cotswold Flours. I do like their flour. 10 grams of fine salt and give that a good mixing. And in with 7 grams of instant yeast. You can use active dried yeast, that'll be 10 grams, but you need to get that going first, or 20 grams of fresh yeast. And once again, give it a good mixing. I'm using my Danish dough whisk today. And then we're going to add about half of the water. Stir this in just to get things started. You can add it all in one go if you like. I just like to do it this way. Once that's sort of combined, put a bit more water in. Give it a good mixing and add more water if needed. What we're after is a soft but not too sticky dough. This Danish dough whisk really is good like this. You can use a round bladed knife if you want, or even a fork. I've used all of them in the past. I've got no preference, but the Danish dough whisk does make light work of it. In with the bread improver. Now I'm only using 1/4 teaspoon. You only ever use this very, very sparingly. It's basically citric acid and it just helps the yeast, helps the enzymes, etc. You get a better rise and a slightly browner crust. You could add all the dry ingredients together at the start, but I wanted to put this in at the end on its own, just in case you haven't got any. And guess what? Mix it in. Then we're going to add some olive oil. I'm using 2 tablespoons for this, that's 30 ml. Once again, you could add this at the same time as the water, but I wanted to make sure the water was well mixed before I put the oil in. It works for me, everyone's got their own different methods. And if you can guess what we're going to do next, you can have a medal. Yes, we're going to mix it all in. Just keep going until you've got a really shaggy dough that's just about come together. It looks a bit hard to work at the moment, but it's getting there, that's just about right. Scrape your dough whisk down, or your fork or your knife, and we're going to tip it out onto a well-oiled work surface. I'm not using flour for this one, I'm using oil, a little bit different. We're going to bring the rest of the bits together, gather all the little bits and pieces up, squash them in there, and then we're going to start kneading. If needed, just spray a bit more oil on the work surface as you go along. You can knead this whatever way you like. I think I must be using just about every method under the sun. 1 hand, 2 hands, stretch and turn, pull it this way, pull it that way, roll it over. Well, 8 to 10 minutes and we got there. And in the end, it looks a lovely dough. This dough came together really quickly actually. When you get to about 6 minutes or so, give it the window pane test. That's where you grab the dough, stretch it a bit. We're looking for almost a see-through transparent window without any tearing. This wasn't quite ready, so another 2 or 3 minutes of kneading. You can see there just how smooth the dough is already. I'm just doing the push and stretch method at the moment. My wrists were aching. Of course, you could do this in a mixer if you want, but where's the fun in that, eh? Here we are, this is just about right now. That'll do. Give the dough one final push and twist just to get that bit you played with back into the dough. Using the sides of the palms of your hands, form the dough into a ball and then pop it into an oiled bowl. Cover the bowl with a damp towel, a piece of cling film, or in my case, a shower cap. I still find it funny that I use a shower cap. Leave the bowl somewhere warm for about 45 to 60 minutes, 3/4 of an hour to an hour to rise, to double in size. I'm using my bread proofing box for this, which works very well. There's a link to that at the top right of the screen. Here we are 45 minutes later. Give the dough a poke test. Stick your finger in the dough. If it leaves a deep dent, you've overproofed. If it springs back instantly, it's underproofed. And if it leaves a little dimple like that, perfect. Lightly dust your work surface with flour and tip the dough out. Using your fingertips, gently push the gases out of the dough. This is called knocking back, and it stops the large air pockets in the bread. And again, using your fingertips, gently ease the dough into a rectangle shape, really. Fold left over right and right over left, a bit like when you're folding a piece of paper to go in an envelope. And then fold top to the bottom and bottom to the top. And once again, using your fingertips, persuade the dough that it wants to be a rectangle. Once you've coaxed the dough into the shape you want, it's time to roll it up. Use your fingertips to push the roll in on itself as you roll it up. This gets a very, very tight roll. Once it's rolled up, turn it so the seam is on the bottom. And on the ends, grab the ends, pinch them tightly and fold them underneath, pressing down as you go. So that's the right hand one done. Pinch it over, fold it under and squash it down. And form it into an oval, I suppose. Yeah, it's an oval. Here's the lined baking sheet. Pop the dough on top, once I can get hold of it. Give it a good dusting with flour. And then, using a razor blade, make 3 very bold scores across the top, nearly 2 centimetres deep. You can use a sharp knife for this, but believe me, a razor blade is best. Now's the time to get your oven preheating to 210 Celsius while you set the dough aside again. About 40 odd minutes until it's doubled, a bit like this. Then it's away to bake in the oven for 30 to 35 minutes. And as soon as you put it in, turn the heat down to 200 and put a splash of water in the bottom of the oven. This helps the dough to rise and stops the crust forming too early and eventually gives a nicer crust. And the bread is ready when it's nice and golden brown and sounds hollow. Put the loaf on a wire rack to cool down. You can eat it when it's slightly warm, but hot, no. That's a definite no-no because the steam inside will suddenly escape and the bread will be horrible. Right then. We need to get stuck into this. Still a bit warm. Ready? Oh, yes. So a bit without butter first. Lovely crumb, look at that. Yes, we need a bit of butter on that. Like I said, it's still a bit warm actually. Okay, here we go. Oh, that is fan-bloomin-tastic. I'll tell you what, that is lovely. That really is nice. And there we have it, the classic bloomer loaf. A lovely soft crumb and a crisp crust on this one, and those iconic diagonal slashes. Perfect. And it is perfect for sandwiches or toast or just warm with a bit of butter. More bread recipes coming very soon.